So how does an American living in Los Angeles, California, think, okay, I gotta go to Poland? What's the story there?
You know, when I first came, I would say a lot of people just, you could see they didn't have any money. They were not that they were dressed poorly or something, but they were not happy, generally not happy. Yeah, not happy walking around, going to the shops. In 1994, it would have been like I came from the moon. They're like, wow, America, and from Los Angeles. It was, I think everybody's life looks good on Instagram and Facebook, right? Poland is a great place to, I would say to find, to find a wife, to find a fiance, woman companion. I can't think of a better country to find.
Why is that?
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
Greg, welcome to Warsaw Confidential.
Oh, Kamal, great to be here. And I've been watching a lot of your shorts, a lot of your stories from Warsaw Confidential. Great, always exciting stuff. And whenever it pops up, I watch it. Sometimes I have to hunt it down, but really a lot of interesting questions you give to some of these people. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time. You have your own show and you find some time for us today, so I'm honored.
Well, happy to be here, yeah.
All right, so you're quite a legend, Greg, so there's a lot to talk about today.
Well, thank you.
And, but we're gonna make a trip back in time.
Okay.
And start with a very simple question, yet requires a complex answer from your side, but I'm sure you will do it.
Right.
Who are you, what do you do, and why does it matter?
Okay, well, Craig Smith, publisher and founder of Europa Property magazines, which are covering commercial real estate in Central Eastern Europe, and organizing events. And like you said, we do the Coffee with Craig show, which is 100%, like everything we do, 100% commercial real estate, and covering the sector, covering some of the movers and shakers in the region, and what's happening on the investment and development side. So in a nutshell, that's it. And then we get together for a few different events in Poland, and we just did one in Sopot for the Baltics areas, Romania, Hungary, Serbia, and kind of just get all the real estate people together and international investors together under one one event, either at the Intercontinental or Radisson or Marriott, different hotels. And really recognize the leaders of, who's really done things in the exceptional in the region, and also from time to time picking also lifetime achievement awards for some of the people that have really, not even necessarily retiring in most cases, but really some people that what have they delivered to the sector and
the whole thing.
And just making people's lives better, either with new houses, new hotels, new shopping centers, offices, these kind of things, to make them their lives better, their lifestyle better, and also their businesses work better.
So I want to go to the origin story. So you've been in Poland for more than 30 years.
Yeah, 1994 I showed up. Yeah.
94.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
My God, that is amazing.
Right.
So, because you're originally from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
US,
Yes. Yeah.
And so how does an American living in Los Angeles, California, think, okay, I gotta go to Poland? What's the story there?
Well, first of all, for all the, Los Angeles, maybe it's becoming less and less, but it's generally a paradise. It really is a paradise if you don't work there. If you work there, it's 2 hours in traffic or more, getting to work, getting home. So I love going back to LA. I'm not one of these people that come over here and say, oh, the US was terrible. All great, no problems. But I owned two restaurants in LA, which I sold them, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll take some. I sold them. I was 28. Sold them, and I thought, well, I hadn't been to Europe really. I'd been a few times on short trips, but I thought, oh, I want to go and spend 2-3 months here, and I wasn't even thinking about Poland at the time. But traveling around Western Europe, and one of my friends from LA said, hey. He was a European director for Domino's Pizza, and he said, hey, I'm coming to Poland. Maybe you want to fly there and join me there, and I'll show you around. And so that was kind of my first experience to Poland, as we stayed at the Marriott for 2 weeks, and he was dealing with, Domino's Pizza issues, and I was kind of exploring Warsaw, and, from the Marriott, in the summer,
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So I was in and out a few times and traveled with him to different places that he was in charge of over in Europe. And then about October that year, I just thought, oh, maybe I'll stay in Poland for a little while and see what we can do, because there was great market, even now, but there was great opportunities, and I had quite a lot of experience in marketing, so marketing, sales, and at the time there really wasn't much marketing going on, and the people that were the marketing people were usually the foreigners, and so we were working with them on printing things and designing things. And then we got really with the commercial real estate people, designing brochures for buildings, and they were honestly all foreigners, all British. Everyone had small companies. So a lot of the guys were doing all the marketing materials for these buildings in the UK, paying UK prices, and then bringing them over here, like, because they didn't need a lot of copies, but they needed some copies. So we just started marketing and advertising the commercial real estate buildings, and that's how we got into the magazines.
So how do you come up to this idea? I mean, you noticed the opportunity, but because you have sold your restaurants and like you were looking for that next.
Yeah, I don't even know if I thought, oh, I'll just take a few years off, but I saw there was a need here. Some of the real estate articles written in English were so poorly written, and probably the guys writing them, could speak English very well, but it's different being a journalist to actually being able to write everything. And I thought, it's such huge amounts of money investing, developing that, at least the article should be correctly written in English. So I hired a couple of British editors and journalists. And so, the company, we do all the writing in let's say British English, proper English, whatever they want to call it. And then kind of we do the events in more American fun style, let's say, so it kind of is a good combination.
All right, so before we dive into, because I just want to know a little bit about your background. So what is the one thing you could tell me about your childhood or growing up in the US that could explain to me or help me understand the man sitting in front of me today?
Wow, I've never even thought about that. I should come here for more therapy, actually.
Yeah.
Probably I had some trauma or something, and this is how it worked. I don't know. I guess, a lot of my family were entrepreneurs, and I was kind of going that way. I was only going that way, and I wasn't, I had a few corporate jobs, but I wasn't really a corporate player, let's say. Maybe I'd be better at corporate, sort of structure these days. But at the time, it was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I always want to do something on my own. And then when I came to Poland, there was a lot of opportunities. And I think even now, there's even more opportunities in Poland than there was before, just different ones. We didn't have internet. We didn't have phones.
AI.
AI. Well, okay, no one had AI back then, but yeah. I would say even now, Poland even has more opportunities now for people coming and businesses coming to the region.
So it took that, let's say, entrepreneur fiber, that American thing, and then you said, okay, I'm going to do the business. So walk me through these first days in Poland, because that was 94.
94, yeah. Well, we were sitting in the lobby bar of the Marriott, and one of my friend that
It's no longer called Marriott, yeah?
Yeah, which is it's the Presidential now. Yeah, I'll probably still keep calling it Marriott for the next
let's keep calling
30
it
years.
Marriott.
Yeah, if I say the Presidential Hotel, they'll be like, where is that? Yeah.
Sure.
But I was there, and really we kind of had instant friends all of a sudden, because my friend I came with, he was like, yeah, just go to the Marriott lobby bar at 6:00. We all meet there, and a lot of his friends were British companies doing business and meeting there, because there wasn't many places to go for expats to kind of hang out in Warsaw at that time. Not like now, where it's filled with restaurants and bars, but at that time it was kind of like, let's go to the Marriott. I remember one guy was complaining because the beer in the Marriott went from 5 zloty 80 grosz to 6 zloty 30 grosz, and it was the British, of course. They're complaining about these big price hikes. And so they were always, straight after work, everyone was there. And I remember talking to a few guys, and they're like, yeah, no one can print anything here. No one can design anything in this country. No one knows. And, that wasn't the case. It was just, they're like, we can't find a printer. We can't find a design company. But And then a few of them were showing me what they were doing, and I thought, "Oh, we can design that." I thought, I've designed menus in our restaurants. That's not more difficult than this. So, I found out the Polish words for these kind of companies like drukarnia and
Yeah.
things like that they didn't know what it was called. And I thought, I said, well, give me all that stuff. Let's see if we can design it here. And print it here. Because there was the cost of London, designing things in London, which, I don't know if I'm sure the costs haven't gone down. And then there was also, at the time, Poland wasn't in the EU. So
Right.
sometimes they would get stuck at the baggage claim, and all of a sudden they have to pay some VAT or import tax. And, no one knew what to tax it. So they would just come up with some high number, and they're like, yeah, our brochures are stuck in the, in the customs.
The customs, yeah.
And the customs, and a lot of times they said, the custom guy doesn't even know what to charge us. And they'll tell us in 3 weeks, where, it's a waste of time. So we really just started very quickly. I had made a few friends here in Poland, and I said, maybe I would stay here, or at least try to do some business here with this design and printing. So we met with a little print place, a little design shop, and then they printed it somewhere else. And I'm like, can you guys design this? And they're like, of course we can design it, and so that's sort of how it started. Is we were doing more marketing, and it's really high end print and high end design, but very low print runs, because you don't need so much for commercial. So, all the big FMCG companies and those kind of guys, they'd already figured it out. But for this kind of high end, it needed to be on glossy print and this kind of stuff. So we just fell into the real estate people, because the British were really running the leasing, the marketing. The country directors were always all the British agencies, and a lot of the firms coming into buying, or developers, were all foreign companies at the time. So they didn't have the infrastructure they do now for the marketing and doing their own things. So really we went from doing marketing brochures and market kind of concepts for new buildings to then publishing the magazines and organizing the events. It was really the next step.
So how did you navigate these first days, especially when it comes to your relationship to Polish people?
Right.
They perceive you as an American from Los Angeles.
Well, I don't know about now. It's probably not quite as exciting, but in
Obviously.
1994, it would have been like I came from the moon. They're like, "Wow, America!" And from Los Angeles. It wasn't from some state in the Midwest or something no one's heard of. It was, so like, "Wow, how can you even be here?" So it was almost, but I would say even European wide, I would have to say generally, even if it's not, I would say I always had very friendly response.
First
Yeah, very, always, I know you talk to some Americans, like, oh, they were mean to us in France or something, but I never had really any bad comments like that. I mean, maybe worse in America than here, for sure. So I'd say in the 90s, no one had met an American almost. There was a few from USAID and a few things like that, but very, very few were here. And so it was quite easy. You could speak English. If they could speak English, they were like happy to talk to you. I would say almost the same now, but they probably know some Americans now, so maybe they're not as happy. Yeah, after meeting some other ones, too many English teachers kicking around over the last 30 years that, probably weren't actually English teachers in, their homeland, let's say.
So
Just to answer your question, navigating was quite easy, because it was everyone wanted to be your friend, let's say, and plus we were, the embassy was doing a lot of things. The British embassy was doing a lot of things for expats and the diplomats that were there. So it was very easy to get around the business. We were members of the American Chamber of Commerce. So it was really, because everything was just starting here, it was almost easy to make instant friends or instant contacts, maybe even easier than now, because everyone went to the same 5 places. So all the foreigners went to, the same 5 places. Now there's 105 places to go to. So harder to meet people, let's say.
So what I'm trying to get to, because you said you built the business, and we're going to talk about it. So what were these? Did you say I am going to stay here? I love this country. Did you ever have this
No, I never said that actually. It was more like, hey, I'll stay another 3 months. Let's see if we can do it. We met some very nice people here, and I thought, oh, I'll stay a little bit longer. And I think for the first year, I kept putting off my flight ticket because they're like, yeah, you can change the date up to a year, something like that. So then finally, a year went by. Business was going well. I'd say business wise and personally wise, things were going well. So I almost thought, well, looks like I'm not flying back, and that ticket expired. And it was never a situation of, oh, I love it here, I'm staying forever. I mean, I do love it here. And,
Of course.
I would say, people that ask me, I would say, I'm never bored here. There's always something to do, always some events, always something exciting to do. Coming and meeting you, right? There's always something interesting going on here. Maybe because we're in publishing, we're in the media, we're doing events, we're invited to events, so it's probably, more exciting than the normal guy just working at I don't know, the washing machine factory, right? Maybe he doesn't find it so interesting. But, we're invited to a lot of things. We come to a lot of things. So it's always something going on. I mean, even this week, we own part of a horse. So we were at Vishchigi in the horse racing, and, our horse didn't do very well, but it's fun to go out there, and, they put us in the owner place with the VIP place with the horses. So, and then the next day we went to some event out in Stalovola, which was a lot of fun, little 5K run, and the local press is out there. And they put me in the local press with the organizers, probably because I'm the only American there. So, if I was living in the U.S., no one would care I was there, right? So it's a little more, it's like it's always a lot of fun, never boring. I mean, always a lot of fun. Let's say never boring, usually a lot of fun. Sometimes some hard work. Sometimes things go wrong, like in everywhere, like living everywhere else. One of our clients who is very rich lives in Monaco, and I was visiting him, and I'm like, wow, it must be great to live here. He goes, no, it's great to visit here. He goes, you try to live here, you need to get something fixed. You need to get the plumbing fixed in our. He goes, we have multi-million-dollar penthouse. He goes, something goes wrong. The internet doesn't work. Try to fix it.
I see.
So I guess in Poland it's easy to get that stuff fixed. Like and also it doesn't break here. So I think it depends on your situation. But we're never bored here. There's always all kinds of things coming up.
How did you navigate the language barrier back then? Because I came in 2008,
Right.
and back then I still remember. I wouldn't say Polish people were not speaking, but they were shy. They were more reserved. That's the word I'm looking for. They were reserved to speak English. I imagine in '94 it must have been.
In 94, well, whenever I was in a taxi, they would all start speaking to me in German. So I'd speak to them in English, and they'd just speak back to me in German. I'm like, look, I have no idea what you're saying in German. But I would say, I think it depends on your situation. So, we were doing all of our clients were speaking English. I'm not saying they were all English, but they all speaking English, looking for foreign clients at that time to move into their office buildings, rent space in their shopping centers. Most of them are international clients. So, business wise, which was, like 90% of the time working on things, we're doing everything in English.
Right.
And generally, other than that, if we're going out to restaurants or things like that, all these waiters are generally speak English, or at least, you can order in Polish if you want to, you point to it, right? I'll order that. So I didn't really run into my partner at the time spoke fluent English, fluent French, fluent Polish, and probably some other, typical European, spoke a few languages. So if there was anything like from the business point of view that was, let's say, Polish to deal with, admin, taxes, I always had someone. So I wasn't navigating, let's say, the bureaucracy. Yeah, I wasn't navigating the bureaucracy because my business partner at the time, and he kind of liked that, like the admin, the stuff no one wants to do, right? Invoicing, tracking, filling out all the forms for the government and putting in the tax and all that. So literally, I just luckily didn't have to do that. And I was just always put on sales, which were always our international clients. So I didn't have so much to do with that. And then, the few, I wasn't really going to that many clubs, but the few clubs were all, there was Ground Zero, owned by also some Americans out here. So, it was all, let's say, kind of, I wasn't going to little villages and talking to farmers and trying to do that kind of business. So
see.
I didn't have to, sometimes you meet people that have been here 5 years and they have to learn the language because their boss is Polish. You better speak Polish pretty quick. Yeah, your clients are Polish. You better speak the language. Wife is Polish. I don't know. Kids, you're taking them to school, things like that. So I think I wasn't put in right into that part and kind of, I don't know if I'd say shielded from it, but it was just, I just wasn't dealing with it so much. It was most of our contacts were international. Most of our friends were also our business friends. So I didn't run into it. Maybe you were saying, yeah, you got to talk to everyone that's Polish, but I wasn't. We were kind of doing 10 to 15 hours a day of business, so less that.
Do you regret that? Because there's a part of me that kind of regret that side, because I too had a business was run in France, as you know,
right.
and the other one in the US, and I really haven't been in contact with the Polish people.
Right.
And the ones that do, they have incredible level of English.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I wish I was in these early years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. You know, it's like if you move to America, do you really want to meet those guys in all the villages? And I doubt it. Yeah, here probably similar, right? I don't think they're any different. If you look through Poland and some of these towns, it's no different than small towns in
I
America.
think
And
it's everywhere.
I'm not sure you want to stop off at a small town and learn the real Americans. Let's say better. So I did have people ask me like, oh, so how are the Polish people? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. The ones I know are great, but they're all international. They're I'd say more international business people that are born in Poland. So I wouldn't say I'm missing any of it, but I mean, I guess when we're driving through, like we drove to Stalovola yesterday, and you drive through these small towns, you're thinking, I'd just like to stop there. Maybe not live there too much, but at
Right,
least
that's-
say hi and see what people are thinking. But because those towns haven't changed much at all. There might be a couple more richer people there that made money somewhere else and came back to the village, but they're all quite the same. But I have a feeling that here it's exactly like the U.S. or some village in France. I mean, of course you speak French, so
Yeah, exactly.
you're getting they more interesting conversations maybe with them. But no, we're so busy here and meeting everybody, and also a lot of and yeah, I mean, of course my Polish should be better. All of ours should be. But if I look, I remember last year we added up the days we were in Poland, and it was 100.
Wow.
So out of what 365, I was here 100. So that's about normal. I'm here about 100 days a year. So, it's like, well, I'm in, Germany, the UK, France, Romania, Serbia. What I got to pick up
You're
work.
really living in Poland.
Yeah. So probably if I was here and I had a full-time job here and I was here every single day and 2 weeks somewhere else, I would know more locals, let's say. And even in our even in the building I live in, I don't even know the neighbors because I see, I leave early, come home late. They're very nice people, but I just don't, I can see they all know each other. But I think I don't know them, not because of the language even, just because I just never see them and I'm not there enough.
I see.
I'm sure they see me hauling out suitcases and hauling back and wonder what I'm doing there.
Yeah, I see. I'm only asking because I'm interested in knowing exactly or getting deep in how to build a successful business in Poland. And if being integrated deeply into the culture, Polish culture, is one of the key successes. But apparently it's not, because you built this business, let's say, without needing to be culturally integrated to Poland. So looking back at your career, you've built a successful business in publishing. What are the key elements to build such successful business?
Well, I'll go to your first comment that,
Yes.
for what we do, we don't have to be integrated culturally. But if
Okay.
you're selling like to the mass, because we're not selling to the mass market, it's commercial real estate, very focused market. But it depends on what business you're building here. Of course, if you're selling FMCG products like candy bars and this kind of stuff, you definitely need to know the culture and the pricing and, how to make the labels and what people like and don't like. And So I would say it really comes down to, and unfortunately I can't give you a good answer to this because it really comes down to what you're selling and who is the final customer. I mean, so many, and you've probably seen it too, so many brands, big brands have come in, like super cowboys, let's say, and spent a lot of money, and they were out within 6 months or a year, and you're thinking, gosh, if we had 1/10 of that money, we would have made a fortune here, and I see it not only in Poland, but I see it in every city, every country I go to. So if I'm in Romania or I'm in there and I'm asking my team, hey, what happened to these guys? Same thing. Oh, it didn't work out. And, I'll talk to some clients and they'll be like, yeah, Bulgaria is a terrible market. Nothing worked out there. And I'm like, well, you just did it wrong. You came in and, I don't necessarily tell them that, but I think it's, you really have to be, I'm not saying you have to be cultural aware of everything, but you really need to know who the final customers are. And if you're selling some product great in the world or in America, it doesn't mean it's going to work here. Even and I think, what one good example when Pizza Hut opened, they did a bunch of surveys and they decided no one was going to ever buy pizza in Poland, or Pizza Hut would never work. And that was the survey. And I think they're doing pretty well. They're doing amazing. So, and probably they changed a few things, if it's tastes or whatever to make it work. And, after they looked at the surveys or they were just completely wrong. I don't know. But I think you have to, it's just business 101 that seems like when people jump countries, when we do the same things, when we go to we're like, oh, this is working in Poland, let's do this in Czech. And then we see it's no way going to work in Czech. So even if, you're a global company, you're looking at the map and it looks pretty, let's just Central Eastern Europe, let's do the same thing in all the countries. And they really are different. So I think, just to your comment, I think depending on what you're selling, you better know who the final customer is if they're eating a candy bar or buying a car, or with fashion too, in the 90s, it was easy. You got everybody that couldn't sell anything for fashion, and they would just take all the Western stuff, dump it over here. Try to do that now. You'll be taking it back with you. Nothing was good. So it worked, probably worked before 94 and probably up till about maybe 96, 97. And then, then all the brands started looking, oh, that's a good place to dump all the stuff that didn't sell last season. Well, don't bother bringing it here now, because no one will buy it. So I think it's really, I think in every country, you just have to know really who that final customer is. And, sometimes it's not easy to know what those guys are thinking because you can't just choose. I mean, I noticed with clothes or things like that, you get the Czech Republic who actually will spend a bit more money to have a little bit better quality. And you see in Poland, they want to spend less money, even if they wash it twice and it's done. I talked to some of the suit guys, the guys doing suits from Turkey, and they're like, we love Romania because all those guys are buying new suits and new shirts weekly.
Interesting.
They can live in their mother's basement on a dirt floor and they're buying new suits, once a month. And in Poland, you don't get that, right? So, they're like, we want to come to Poland because they're buying so much in Romania. I'm like, it's not the same, Romania is more like Italy. Yeah, you see that the guys are walking around, it looks like a fashion show in Romania. And, here it's just not like that. I'm like, look, you're not going to sell anything that quick here, and then stick to Romania. And so it really comes down to, you can't just put CE in one big bundle and assume it's okay. And I think a lot of times in Western Europe, for sure, the US companies that have come here and left already, I think they were doing more like that. Like, it sells great in France. It sells great. Let's just stick it in, Poland. And, sometimes it does work, but generally it doesn't.
It doesn't go that far. No, I remember that because remember the glamorous pochette company there launched. It was a hole in the market. We launched it and it worked. We tried to do the same in France. It didn't work.
Because they have them.
I know.
They're like,
I thought that because of the design and the idea, the concept, it would just work. But so we just focused in Poland. It was also B2B and it was going wonderful.
because Poland, no one had one. So they're like,
Exactly.
wow, how
Yeah.
much is it? Oh, only 100 zlotys. Okay.
Yeah.
The French are like, I got a whole wardrobe of these, they're not going to buy another one.
So on the same context, because again, talking about building a business in Poland, what are the things that one should not do to be successful here?
Not do. Well, don't overcharge. Whatever you're doing, make sure you're bringing in, I would say, now, a few things. I don't want to make it too long, but don't come in with top luxury quality because there's not enough people here to pay. I'm not saying this country's poor, no one has any money, so don't send a bunch of hate messages to me. But the people with money are buying somewhere else.
That is true.
And everyone. I mean, I know quite a few rich people because of the real estate, but I'll tell you, those got the Poles don't. Rich Poles are buying when they're on trips because they like to come by and go, oh, I bought this in Beverly Hills. They don't want to say they bought it at somewhere else. So I would, if you've got something really unusual and really expensive, maybe, but you better know them and you better have back to knowing your customer, your contacts. I'd say maybe premium or really, really like, on some of the fashion and some of the things like that does well is like this, these cut plate, these, what is it, 50% less, or I can't remember the name, I should remember.
Like discounts and
all these discount things and deals out of the
Deals.
UK. They're doing Pepco, all these kind of guys. They are making a fortune, but anyone that's coming in like middle, upper level, very difficult. And I think because you're just going after people that it's small market. And if they're buying, they're usually traveling a little bit. So if they're like going to the UK or going to France, they're spending the money there. Having said that, there are some successful luxury items for sale here, of course, but very specific, and those guys probably know their clients. So if you're selling luxury yachts or luxury cars and you think, oh, I'll just bring in my own model, you've got to they're friends with each other. Again, it's a small group, and if they're not friends, they're enemies, but they're watching who's buying what. Yeah. And they want to kind of get the same, not enemies, but they're competition, right? So I would say if you're coming in high end, you better have a good network of people that are really ready to pay. And I would say, this, a lot of times I see people fail is they go, we asked a lot of people, they all said yes, but none of them paid yes. So I think that's also something, that I think you'd see a little different from the US, because especially East Coast, if they don't want to buy something from you, they won't be nice. They'll tell you, no, we're not buying that. Don't even bring it to me. Where in Poland, no one's going to say that to you. No one is going to say that to you, even if no chance. They're like, yeah, that's a very good idea. Okay. And then, you're whatever, shipping it all over. So I think you really got to, again, know your clients at the end. It sounds like business 101, but it applies here. And it's not so easy. I would say in the US, they're more truthful. If they don't want it, they'll tell you. Here, I don't think I've ever had any Polish person in 30 years tell me, oh, don't do that. That will never work. Or don't, or I won't buy that. Maybe more like that. Like, oh, I would never buy that. I think it's more like, yeah, that looks interesting. And then they block you or something. So you can't sell it to them. But I think they're always quite nice here. Yeah. I mean,
They are.
I don't really run into, they don't want to tell you no. Yeah. They don't want to tell you, no, we don't want that. Later, when they go to pay for it, maybe they won't buy it. But I think as far as just,
the idea.
yeah, it's more like respectful, like, oh, we don't want to say anything bad because maybe he'll be mad. I don't think in the US they care if you're mad. They're probably in the US, I'm happy when I get no's because then I don't have to waste time with them. Yeah. But I think here they're like, oh, we don't want to say that. We don't want to say it's not a good idea.
Interesting.
And it might work. So then they look stupid. I don't know. Yeah.
Why do you think so?
I don't know. It's hard to say because, but I would say, it could be just like, oh, this American guy's doing something here. We don't want to say it's not going to work. Maybe it will work. So it could be just not being confident enough to say, no, I don't think that'll work. Or they just don't want to. It's like, why be confrontational?
Because that's actually a very interesting point. Whenever I had a business idea, I have never been stopped by a Polish person saying, don't do it.
Yeah, no, and quite honestly, probably a lot of these guys are like, you're selling a piece of cloth that big for 150 zlotys. I'm sure they were all thinking, no one's going to buy that. I don't know. It's strange no one would tell you no. Yeah, I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, but In the US, I think they'd be like, no one's going to buy that for that price. I mean, you have to explain why. Like, look, it's the quality, like your bags, right?
Right.
Quality and things like that, and explain it a bit more. Because quite honestly, you walk by some of these stores, they're selling a whole suit for 99 zlotys. So,
You're like,
yeah, like why
what's the point?
yeah, why would you buy this when you could buy a whole suit? Yeah. So, so it depends. Maybe they understood it, but not that many were here, so probably hard to. Also, you need to explain it. So if no one told you that, you'd think someone would.
Right. So living for over 30 years in Poland, what's the biggest shift you witnessed happening here?
When I first came, I would say a lot of people you could see they didn't have any money. They were not that they were dressed poorly or something, but they were not happy, generally not happy. Yeah, not happy walking around, going to the shops. And now and over the years, you can see a lot of people have some money. Maybe not rich, but they have some money. They're making money. They're buying. You go to the mall, it's full, right? I don't know what they're buying there, but they're going to the mall, and all the malls are full in these outlet centers. So I would say they've got some money to buy new clothes. When I came, in '94, there was very little traffic, and almost the only cars on the road, I won't say only, but almost the only ones were company cars. So I think you had like, I don't know, like Nokia must have had 1,000 cars. So everyone that was a sales guy at Nokia had a car, right? It was like, or Siemens or any of these other companies. So, sorry. So a lot of the cars on the road really were company cars. And, with big Siemens on the side or Nokia or Coca-Cola or something. And, you could see people were driving them with logos on the cars for their family business, for their family and their private life. So I think it was really like, hey, I need a company car. I can put my wife in there, put the kids in there. We'll use it on the weekends. So I would say you can see people over the years, now you don't see that many company cars on the road, and rarely on the weekends. Yeah, it's more like they park that car because they have their own car. But I would say I would even say kind of the happiness, maybe because of wealth, but just kind of the happiness has really changed from being quite quite sad. And I think because of money and, there was no nice, not so many nice places to go, now, very hard to go to the movies on a Friday night, very hard to go kind of anywhere. So I think the change has really been in just the I wouldn't say the dynamics, because they were always entrepreneurial and, plenty of people running, but I would just say this a little bit more happy now, let's say. Or a lot more. And, looking a little, even if they're not rich, if they were, let's say more from despair because nothing was happening and there in '94 a lot was already happening, but I'm saying the general public to really like, wow, we can, oh, we got to catch up with Europe, which is 30 years ahead of us. No one says that now.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so I would say it's really like, wow, we're way behind, and why are you even here, and how is this country ever going to make it? I heard not a lot of that, but I know it was there. To now, clearly we're at least as a group, we're the best, and the country is doing well. And if you look around the world, it's just a lot safer here.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about
Yeah,
this because it's very important. Talk a little about politics here.
Yeah. Always happy to talk politics. I'm not an expert, but always happy to give my views, as you know.
Because it is true that when people talk about Poland, they often mention the word safety, being safe and clean. And so, what's your stance on that?
And again, business, because the CEE guys were either in Austria, in Vienna, or they were in Prague, or they were based in Budapest. No one was based in Warsaw, running the region. Now, jump 30 years ahead, they're like, wow, you're so smart. You moved to Warsaw. That's like a great place to live. And I mean, I'm saying the Western Europeans and Americans are telling me that from complete opposite. Now they're just like, yeah, you're in a great place. How did you even think to go there? Like I came up with some brilliant idea. I'm like, well, I was always here. Yeah. And so, but it's really just, in this kind of paradigm shift. It's really shifted, I think, from a business point of view because it's the biggest market, just simply
Okay.
because it's a big, it's so much bigger in Czech than in Hungary, or Austria. But the expats, they didn't want to live in Warsaw because nowhere to go, nothing nice to see. Where are you going to tell your wife and kids you're coming to Warsaw or Prague? So I think it was the expats making the decisions, more personal message, more personally than business wise. If it was business wise, they would have all picked Warsaw. So I think now the really, even when I talk to Western Europeans, they're like, wow, you live in Warsaw? That's great. And they're living in either in Paris or Vienna or, Brussels or something like that. And they're like, we're scared there. I mean, even telling me, and a lot of the Germans too, they're like, yeah, Warsaw, we love coming here. We just wouldn't mind staying here. So it really has changed. And I think it's more a safety reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it plays a big role. I also feel 100% safe here than I do in my own
Right.
country.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. And it's becoming more and more popular. And now I'm afraid it's gonna swing to the to the other
The other,
the other
too
side.
many, that this will become too popular to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we've got still a couple years to go.
Mm.
Okay. So, Greg, being or living here for more than 30 years, do you feel more Polish or more American?
Well, that's a good question. I would always say more American. People
Okay.
are like, wow, you're like 100% Polish now. I'd be like, not really. I think it's just home is home. Yeah. No matter, not saying I want to move back there or any great, there's some things I miss, of course, and I do like it there. But, I wouldn't say I feel Polish. I mean, I really, if I ever move from here, I will really miss it. I miss a lot of things here. Some of the people you meet that have lived here 5 years are like, oh yeah, we're really Polish, and they're in, and they're, even Preston Smith, one of our old business partners, he's got his Polish passport. He's here. I don't know. I mean, I don't think, I think if I went back to the US, I'd fit in, I wouldn't be under any culture shock or anything like that. I think I'd fit right in there and, you know, no problems there. But I think, there's a lot of things I like about Poland, a lot of things that probably I didn't like at the beginning that I do appreciate now. But I think I'm always going to be more American. I guess, yeah.
What are these things that you didn't like and do you like now?
It was more business stuff because, in the US, you're just working all the time, right? You've got no holidays or very little holidays, and it was always, you're spending a lot more time on it. And it seemed like when I first came to Poland, it was like every week there was some holiday, or every month or someone was going on a holiday, and it was, because we were business to business, so it was screwing up our business because the whole week everyone's gone, in the US. Um, they're like, oh yeah, and we're off Monday, so we're gonna take Tuesday off as well. We'll come back late Wednesday, or we're off. The holiday is Thursday, but we'll have Friday off. So that kind of, I think that took me about 18 months to get used to. And then now I'm like, that's maybe one thing I wouldn't like in the US. Now it's just like constantly working. Yeah. And, but at the time when we first started, it was like, okay, one of the good things that everyone was on holiday is we wanted to be the best, and probably maybe we weren't the best, but we wanted to be the best. So I could just outwork everybody because in the US, they weren't taking any holidays as well. But in Poland, I was like, okay, we got to beat this company, that company, this other company. What can we do? Well, at least 30 days a year they were on holiday. So I would just work through it and try to catch up with everybody else, let's say, with whatever it was. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think the first year I really, looking back, now I would say it doesn't bother me so much. We still complain about it, but I'd say the first year I really hated the weather. And I know, like, you hadn't heard that in an interview before, but I had also brought my warmest clothes from my winter clothes from Los Angeles, and I thought, wow, we won't need anything. That was freezing in those clothes. Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, you can't even wear it outside in this when you're skiing because you're just too hot. Here, I had to get real winter clothes. So I think I didn't get them the first winter. So yeah,
From Los Angeles to here.
yeah. So the winter clothes of LA, buy some new clothes if you're coming here for the winter. Yeah.
Okay, so before we close out the business topic,
Mhm.
because I want to understand or know, how do you define success? What is success for you?
Well, I think, I guess there's a lot of factors in this, right? But I mean, you have to be friendly. You have to be, let's say, happy in your social, what do they always call it? Work-life balance. I'm not sure if I have work-life balance. I'm sure I'm working more than but it's also part of my, my working isn't really separated. A lot of it comes over into my, let's say, lifestyle, because it's usually, it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's, after work, our clients want to go have dinner, and is it work or is it pleasure, right? Because I like them and I like eating with them and having fun with them. So it's also lifestyle and social, let's say. So I would say, success is, you've got to make at least some money, right, to pay your bills, and hopefully extra, and save and have a house and car and things like that. And also just be happy with your personal life as well. So, quite a lot of our clients that we know, they're super successful, but I see they're not happy on the other side. So maybe that's why they're super successful at work, because they work harder. But are they successful in life total? Some are and some aren't. So I would say, if you're happy with your social status, not everyone's going to become a billionaire or a multimillionaire. So if you're happy with where you're at, then I'd say that's probably more successful than some multimillionaires that aren't happy with where they're at. And personal life as well.
I've known you for quite some time, and I have seen you or observed you transform throughout all these years, physically, even spiritually, and not spiritually, but I mean,
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
spiritually. As I say, I love the word
Yeah.
spiritually. So I want to talk about this right now, because I think we did at the same year, for example, this business boxing, and we both went
Yeah.
through this physical
You
change.
did it before me. Yeah,
Yeah,
you did it the year
you're
before
next.
me. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Correct. I thought we did it at the same time. But anyway, so I want to talk about that chapter in your life, because I think it's very empowering and inspiring to people. What made you start this revolution? Like,
Right.
I want to change.
Okay, I'll give you the truth, which I don't tell anybody. Yeah.
It's a confidential
Yeah,
show.
exactly. I think yeah, don't tell anybody. So yeah, I think I was generally, up until about 30. I was always quite thin, and I could eat pizza and kebabs all night. And then I think around 35, it was like, too many of those started catching up with me. And I was 48, and I remember I was in the doctor, and I'm like, I don't feel that great. And he goes, and I remember one of the doctors he goes, I'm surprised you're even awake or not in a coma. And I'm like, why? He goes, because your cholesterol is too high, your blood pressure is too high, your sugar is way out of control. And was that all? I think just those three. Everything else was probably okay. And he goes, you're whatever overweight. And I was like, and I was thinking, and he's like, yeah, I'm surprised you're not in a coma or something. And he's like, he goes, are you able to work? And I'm like, I just left work to come here. I'm going back to work, and then I'm flying somewhere else. And he goes, okay. So anyway, I kind of blew that off and didn't talk to him. And then I think then Julian from the White Collar Boxing, I was like, well, if I'm going to start doing something to get into shape, I better do it now. I'm 48, and I thought I better start working out, and I got to put something out there. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do this White Collar Boxing, because I'd been to a few of his events, and quite a few of our friends like George Mula had done it, and a few, and you hadn't done it yet, but I know you were in the loop to do it, and a few other people we know. Guy Pinsent was doing it, and
I did it the same.
yes. Oh, okay. So I thought, okay, so if I have a goal to be in this thing, and I wanted to do it at 50, I thought, I'm 48, I want to do it at 50. Okay, maybe I will actually do it. So I think I talked to Julian a few times, but I was always like, no way, I'm not doing this, and I wasn't even planning on it at the time. But I thought, okay, I'll go to the gym, I'll get a trainer, I'll start working on this at 48, because it'll probably take me 2 years to get into some kind of shape. So I did. I signed up at the Intercontinental. The manager there I wouldn't say he was a great boxer, but he was good enough to teach what I needed to know. And I'd taken some other combat sports earlier in life, but actually had nothing to do with boxing at all. And when you look at it, so I really was like, okay, if I join this gala, my main concern wasn't even losing. It was just looking bad, right? It was like, okay, how do I not look bad at doing this? And I thought, so the fear of looking bad, and I think it's not just me, but the
one.
fear of looking bad drove me to the gym every day. So every day I woke up and I felt terrible. I was like, do you really want to be in front of 400 people? Because he had about that many there, and looked bad. And actually that's what drove me to go to the gym, to get in shape, to, kind of, how it is, get punched in the face 100 times. And, the trainer's like, why didn't you block that? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even see it coming. So, that really got me. I thought the fear of looking bad. And so then I think after about a year, I told Julian, okay, I'll do it when I turn, 50 or, almost around there. And I was, it's like I lost 10 pounds, but I thought, oh, I just need to lose, or what is that, 5 kilos? Yeah, maybe I lost 10 kilos. And I was like, Jesus, I didn't need to lose 10. I needed to lose 20, And so I think I lost 10, and I still probably wasn't eating great. I wouldn't say I'm eating great now, but so I thought, okay, in a year I've lost 10. I need to lose another 10, but, just get better at boxing as well and stay in better shape. So I told Julian, okay, I'll do the next one, and but we'll promote it, because it was also like a PR thing. It was also a PR thing, and I remember, I was taking all these lessons, and I could tell I just wasn't getting better.
I see.
And I met my yoga teacher at one event, and I said, she wasn't my yoga teacher at the time, but I was talking to her, and I said, I'm doing this boxing, and she goes, oh, you should come to my, you should hire me
Class.
as your yoga instructor, because I'm doing sports yoga. And I was like, wow. And she goes, I've had swimmers, I've had boxers, and she goes, I will help you with this, because what you're doing in boxing, you're always doing the same moves, and it's ruining the rest of your body. And I thought, okay, it's maybe a yoga teacher that could actually help me. So I signed up, and literally after like 3 months, I didn't tell my boxing instructor I was doing it, but after 3 months, he goes, you're getting a lot better at this. What happened? Because I think I plateaued, and then wasn't anything happened. So I told her that. I said, yeah. He was shocked, and so yeah, I kept up with her and doing. So it was a combination of yoga, these sports yoga classes that really she focused on. She knew what we were doing in boxing, and she goes, I'm going to do all the opposite stuff with you. And it really helped. And, plus the other stuff of just staying, mobile and staying balanced, just help on balance.
So that was the catalyst of change.
Well, I thought when I turn 50, I'm going to do this.
All right.
Yeah.
So you start working on yourself, losing weight, making some sport, and taking punches, literally.
Yeah, literally. A lot. Yeah. I couldn't block any of them, so yeah.
I know, man.
I'm not sure I ever got good at blocking them, yeah.
I remember these days.
Yeah.
So from there, and after this gala, I noticed, at least, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that you kept going still.
Yeah, I kept doing it. I thought I better just keep up.
Right.
I was trying to look for the next thing, because it's
Correct.
I'm not one of those people that say, oh, I love to go to the gym and I can't wait to get there. I'm the exact opposite. I gotta have
Motivation.
something driving me to go there and learning stuff. So, but the boxing was good. It was always, good. So I was trying to do some more like triathlon. I tried triathlons, but I couldn't really swim that well. Not that like half a kilometer or a kilometer. So, I was doing some different things. But yeah, I thought I better keep it up, right?
So if someone is listening or watching right now, and they also feel the need to change, what would you tell them, or to motivate them?
Right. Well, let's start with the people that say they don't have any time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm traveling for the last at least 15, if not 20 years, over 100 nights a year in hotels.
Damn.
So don't tell me you don't have time to do it. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. Yeah, it's like, and this, in those years, no different. I would say it's more like you've got to just start with something. The boxing worked with me. Maybe it doesn't, it's not something for someone else, but you've got to make time. And, the way I looked at it is when I scheduled, when I started, I had like 2 days a week at the gym, and that was enough. Yeah. With instructor, I would say always have an instructor. If you don't have the discipline, I have discipline for everything. I mean, work and this and that, but gym, zero discipline. So I got a personal instructor, and I just put those times in like I was going to a sales meeting where I was going to make €20,000 deal. And, we never cancel those deals or those meetings, right? So I put them in as like, and no matter what, I wouldn't cancel them. And I think for 3 years, I never canceled one. And I was, and I built it from 2 to 3 to 4. And then I was doing 4 and, and then I'd say the last 3 months before the gala, I was there twice a day, probably 5 or 6 days a week, at the gym. But I'm not saying do that much, but I would say whatever you do, you've got to make the time now, no matter how old you are, and you just got to put it in the schedule and get a trainer, because if you're not disciplined enough to do it on your own, which you're probably not if you're taking this advice, then you get a trainer, because if you get a trainer, you're paying them. They're waiting there for you. And just look at it as, hey, this is an important business meeting. With traveling, it is harder, of course, because you got, and I'd say it with traveling, a few travel tips is, okay, there's always buffet, right? There's always a buffet at all these hotels. You just got to avoid the carbs and
the
avoid
after-hour drinks and cocktails.
with those, it's I would say avoid the carbs is the main thing. No more bread, no more, pastas and stuff. And, but even if you're going out with clients, it's, instead of 2 bottles of red wine, just get 1 bottle, get steak instead of potatoes, spinach and something else, and it's still fine. And I'd say when they put that really warm, yummy bread on the table, just ask them to take it. And I always tell our clients, is it okay if we tell them to get rid of the bread? 90% of the time they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. So, I'd say you're still drinking the red wine, the steaks, everything. So, little changes. I would say, I read a book, you probably read it too. It's like, make yourself 1% better once a day or something, or every day. And, that I'd say that's more the way to go. It's forget the diets, forget anything like that, because I just couldn't stick with them. But, if you just start cutting 1% out of, a lot of these guys are like, oh, we have a bottle of wine with my wife on Friday, a bottle on Saturday. And, in reality, she's probably having 1 glass and, our client's having the 1 bottle. I'm like, look, just cut it back. Have a half a bottle each night, and then go for a run or do something or go walking. And, I'd say that, it's like slowly changing. Especially if you're, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, and you're not in good shape. You got to do like little things. You can't just I don't think you can just go big and actually make it work, right?
Right. Yeah.
Little changes. Yeah.
So we talked about the physical aspects of things. What about the mindset? And my question is, you are a busy businessman, you're traveling all the time and you're doing sport and all these things. How do you stay sane?
Not sure I have, actually. That's I think
At least how you manage that.
Right. Well, it's just managing stress, isn't it? It's like, okay, you've got this coming up, you've got that coming up. I try to compartmentalize it a lot. So, I try to, try, right? When I get home, I try not to worry too much about what happened at work or what's going to happen the next day. Of course, what do they say? Worrying is the devil's work or something. But I try to like cut it into little segments. So it's like, oh, we had a horrible day at work. Well, I don't want to go home and yell at the dog, right? It's like, okay, get rid of it. Move on to the next thing. So I would say that I'm as good as I could be is like not dragging it with me. Yeah. And if there's something good or, something good, something bad, great. But it's like, okay, we've done it. We've taken care of it as well as we can. Let's move on to the next thing. And I think that probably helps. It's like, oh, okay, Wednesday morning at 6, I have a flight. I'm not worried about it Monday. Yeah. I'll worry about it Tuesday night when I'm packing. So I'm trying to break it into things to deal with as it comes. And if there's anything specific, like, okay, could we have done that better, analyzed it, I try to do that and then move on. So I'm not dragging, hopefully, too many things with me. It's like, oh, we've got the fitness club at 3. That's it. We do it, get done, move on.
So when you have to stop and then move
Try to. It's not easy to do, but I try to put it in little compartments to not drag everything
or
with me.
think about
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we had a bad something at work or something didn't work. It's like, I don't want to drag that. Even at work, trying to like, okay, we're done. We had a meeting about it with the team, finished it, move on.
All right, let's talk about the interpersonal relationships.
Right, okay.
One of my favorite topics.
Oh, great.
Also, we're going to try to put it in the context of being in Poland. So tell me about this let's say in a bigger picture, and then we're going to get to your relationship. If it's too private, of course, it's fine.
It's a confidential show, isn't it?
It is.
No one's going to see it.
What I'm trying to say, because a lot of people would say, "Wow, Greg has this incredible life. He has this incredible, beautiful, hot girlfriend, and how did he do that?" So, how can we extract some information from there?
Right. Well, that's, I think everybody's life looks good on Instagram and
That's true.
Facebook, right?
That is true.
Whose life do you look at on Facebook and go, oh,
I know what I did.
that's terrible. That guy has a horrible life. It's always great. Yeah. So
True.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say without. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a public person in that sense. I mean, we're doing a lot of things public, but it's quite, it's commercial real estate. So in that sector,
exactly.
I'm public. Out of that sector,
Right.
they probably don't know me, right? And why would they? Or even know what commercial real estate is. Yeah. So it's kind of like semi, we're publishing, a lot of things on social media about events, going a lot of events to go to, a lot of different things. And some of them are, some of them are hardcore work conferences, but still you're there and it's enjoyable because you're meeting interesting people. I like going to these things and meeting them. With getting back to your question, it's yeah, everything looks good on social media because that's how we want it to look, right? I mean, I'm not posting things like, oh, I had to unpack my suitcase and take a picture of it. No time to unpack it. I dumped it out. I'm not posting that stuff. And probably no one wants to see it anyway. They want to see, oh, Craig's at, whatever, Miss Polonia conference or a TV show that, I saw you last year at, and that's coming up again, or, the final, or, or somewhere on holiday or something, or somewhere working, right? So sometimes it's like, oh, we're in Paris or we're in London. Yeah, well, we're publishing a few pictures about the conference, but also, which is a lot of the work, but also, a few of, oh, we're having a great dinner here in Paris or London or somewhere, or traveling. But in a lot of situations, it's just working somewhere else.
Right.
It's still working. It's just you have to pack and get on a plane and get in a bus and or a taxi and get to the hotel. So yeah, we try. I mean, of course, it is a great life. I mean, it is, at the end, I can't complain too much. It is a great life, and it is a lot of traveling. Always something interesting going on. I definitely wouldn't want to just sit in the office and do things every day the same thing. Maybe there's a couple of days I would like to, but in general, it's very, very happy doing all that. Poland is a great place to, I would say, to find, to find a wife, to find a fiance, woman companion. I can't think of a better country to find.
Why is that?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I don't know. It's something, I guess, in the history, right, of the DNA. The DNA. I'd say, they're also quite. I don't know if you noticed this, but they're also quite jealous here.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah. Okay. So of course, great nation of women here. They're also quite jealous. So you always have to watch what you're saying. But I'm super happy now and super in love with Natalia Tomczyk, who
Right.
is
Who was ex Miss Poland, right?
yeah, she was Miss Poland, Miss World Poland, all kinds of things like that. She's fiance now. We got engaged there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we got engaged last summer, actually. Very, very nice and so hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's, but with she's doing a lot on Instagram. I mean, she's sort of mega influencer with million and I don't know, probably 1.5 million followers now. She just launched a song 2 weeks ago and 1 million views on YouTube. So I think with the things that, I wouldn't say I'm going to a lot of things she's going to. She's going to a lot of things that I'm invited to. So it went from where I thought my schedule was full, and probably she thought her schedule was full, is we're going to a lot of each other's events as well. So it's even more full now, and more things to go to. But very, very exciting. Different things to see, different people to talk to, and I know, she's got deals with hotels and glamour things and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit different than I was doing, but funny enough, a lot of the same brands, a lot of the same companies.
Interesting. So I don't think I would get this chance to ask this question, but it's very specific, targeted niche. How, if someone is watching, I was like, oh man, I'd love to date a Miss Poland or something. How to not only date but also manage,
Yeah, it's a lot of yeah, exactly. You use the correct words there.
She's used to a lot of attention on all these things, and
I think like anybody that was a beauty contest, in the beauty contest even if they never won, they're like, it's like that machine, right? Yeah, it's a lot of, I guess, a lot of people say I'm narcissist, or a lot of ex-girlfriends say I was narcissist. So probably am, yeah. But they're also probably, most people in beauty business are narcissists as well. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just the way it is. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of management of expectations, and also I would say, you have to also, depending on what their career is, you have
Right.
to help them. I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for Natalia, but I don't think she would be so happy to just, marry a billionaire and sit at home and do nothing. Yeah, I think she's really happy with her career and new clients and new business and photo shoots and things like that and stuff growing. So I think it's also, it's like how it's like anything in any relationship. Yeah, you have to add value somehow, right? Whatever it is. So I think it's, you know, with us it's quite easy because she's doing a lot of things that are synergy with what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of
Right.
things that are synergy with what. So business. So let's say the business of that, it works reasonably well. Yeah, because I would say that a lot of people, let's say normal guys, normal lives, they don't all of a sudden want to be going to events and, I have to wear a suit again. I have to wear a tuxedo again. It's like effort, right?
Right.
It's like if she says, "Oh, we have an event coming up," or "I have an event coming up,"
You're like,
yeah,
fine.
it's formal. It's like, well, there it is in the closet. It hasn't. I wore it last week. Yeah, so I'd
So
say
what
it's.
what I'm getting here is the similarities in lifestyle and also career-wise, let's say. Do you think
In
that's
this case, yes. I mean, I would say, I've probably met a lot more of these, let's say, beauty contest people just because of Natalia. There,
right?
but a lot of them are, they're married to someone
Oh, it was
and not doing any, and
all
I
right.
see generally not doing anything. So I'm just saying in her case, so I think it depends on, some are married to whatever sports stars or movie stars or something, and they're, let's say, still living in that life, but not necessarily building their careers.
Right.
So I guess it's, they're, let's say, beauty contest winners are also women, right?
Right.
They're just normal women, and some, some want to have careers and some don't, probably. So I think it depends. It's hard to say, like, oh, how do you do? Oh, and she was on the cover of Playboy. I better mention that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll be dead. Yeah. But yeah, and Playboy doesn't exist in Poland anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
printed them. So a lot of things that I think have helped her with her career. But I think it just depends on depends on the woman, and again, are they trying to build their career? Or are they trying not to? So, you as a guy, which woman do you want? Do you want someone that's gonna, build their career and do something, or do you want someone that's gonna stay at home and cook dinner and clean the house? And I mean, I know a lot of the beauty contest winners are doing that too. So, and having kids and whatever. So I think it really, it's not like, hey, a simple answer of, hey, how do you date a, whatever,
And
Miss
Miss Polonia.
Polonia, right? It depends on, like I said, they're just in general normal women as well. You have to meet them and figure out what they want. Yeah. I would say, and what you want. Yeah. They're like, yeah, we're going on with our career and doing loads of things. Then you got to support that too, right? If you're like, oh, I want you to just live in this,
Yeah.
I'm a pig farmer and I want you, and I'm rich, but I want you to live in my village and help me on the farm. Some will want to, some won't want to. Yeah. So it's not an easy answer of, how do you get one? It's more of an answer of, what do you want
Are you
as a
ready?
guy? And and where, for sure they're out there. There's a lot of beautiful women, and a lot that are, especially in Poland, and a lot that have won beauty contests, right? It's just, what kind of woman do you, I would start from what kind of woman you want. Yeah, okay, beautiful, we got that. But, where how are they going to fall into, your
Your
life,
life.
and I would say, no shortage of Miss Polonias out there that are now living in some village with their husband and happy and 3 kids. And there's some that wanted, that are going on to international or, bigger careers. So, so again, I think it's really no different. Okay, there are, I mean, as far as them being women, right? It's like, well, what do they want to do? Like, you're a man. Do you want a woman that's just gonna sit here and clean your apartment all day and cook for you? Or do you want, like, another partner that's a professional, whatever they're doing, yeah?
Interesting.
I don't know if that answered the
Beautiful.
question,
I
but
mean,
I would say it's no. Unfortunately, there's no easy answer. If there was,
you're
we'd
saying,
sell this edition. Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
those who have, let's say, such goals know the answer. I think your answer gave the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah. But
picture.
I would say just look, not that I want to give any relationship advice at all, but I think looking at, just look at what kind of person you want first.
Right.
And then if you're like, and she needs to be, beauty contest winner. Okay, look at that. Okay, who is this person, right? Look at, I mean, when to tell you, when I first met Natalia, I was actually more looking for someone and to be our ambassador.
Right.
Europa Property. This is how it started. Europa Property Ambassador. And honestly, I looked through a lot. This is going to sound bad, but I looked through a lot of women on Facebook. I know you would.
Paper,
I
on
know you
paper.
would never do that.
On paper.
But some were super beautiful, whatever, Miss something, whatever, or they were in some show. But you start looking at their pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and they're out drinking, they're out partying, they're out doing. So I was looking at it more like, who could be our ambassador to the company that's not going to embarrass us later?
Right.
Like maybe they get caught doing cocaine in the bathroom of some club or something. So I looked through a lot of pictures and just kind of tried to figure out, not even thinking personally, yeah, but just kind of thinking, what kind of person can I get that is not going, that our clients, that of course for our brand is one thing, but also for our clients, because they're putting their logo there. And I thought I needed someone to be in it before I even knew Natalia. And I started looking and I was like, wow, okay. I didn't even realize I didn't even look at Instagram. So I didn't even think about this million, but I saw, oh, all these, it's all professional, it's all done well. And then when I started talking, and I thought, okay, but most of the time, if you're looking for someone for the business, and just like you don't want to have a model that all of a sudden,
Yeah.
something comes up in Pudel or
cross in
something. Yeah, that something bad is happening. So I probably looked through it all, and most of these, let's say, famous women, or famous people probably anyway, but famous women, most of them, there is stuff you're like, I don't know if our clients are going to be happy about this. Either there was something controversial, or there were, something in their personal life or just partying life that they're posting this stuff. And of course, it's great if you're young and posting,
Right.
at the club till 4 a.m, and but so really so I guess I got to know a little bit about her, mainly not because I was looking for,
Yeah, just for
I was like, I need to find someone that can be an ambassador to our company, where our clients will be happy and they won't come back to me and say, Craig, we're not going to sponsor the event because she's there and this is what happened
destroying.
10 years ago even, or whatever, or the weekend before. Yeah, you never know. And a lot of times people are posting pictures that they're not thinking about. And it was kind of like, almost like an employer. You don't want to,
Moment.
yeah. It's great at the moment, but do you really want it out there? And so we did like a little research on, like, what was on social media, but what's in the media. And so, like, I couldn't find anything disastrous or anything bad at all. So, but I would say I probably looked through, I don't know, 50 potential, and there was always something that was like, you're like,
Can't do this.
yeah, that was like, it's not going to work, or this. And then when I wrote to her, I just said, hey, I was just thinking, oh, maybe we'll just have her come to the event and I'll show her. And she's like, okay, well, I don't go to events for free. I'm getting paid for this stuff. And I also liked that because, a lot of times,
Respect your time.
yeah, exactly. It's not like, because again, if, you don't want the ambassador to be at clubs and this and that. And,
that's true.
at least for our business, for, if I was selling, I don't know, e-cigarettes, okay, great. Or, something, okay, then you want more of a clubbing vibe. Yeah. So actually we did a little bit of research. I was like, yeah, maybe we could make her like ambassador of this. And then we kind of introduced her like slowly into the company. And so I think we had the first event we had her come to, we had her like Miss Polonia thing on, and all she had to do was walk around, and I wanted to see how that went over, and how she interacted.
reaction.
It just interacted with people. And because sometimes people are not nice, right? They come and don't touch me, don't talk to me, whatever. And she was very nice to our clients, employees, and all was good. So I was like, okay, well, maybe she can give away one of the awards. And we built on this, and now she's like hosting the thing with us. So So now she, now after 2 years and I don't know how many events, probably 5 or almost 10, she knows these clients now, and they're all generally happy, and, happy that she's doing it, and happy their logos are there and they come up and get the awards. So it wasn't really like I was just trying to meet. I just thought, oh, this will be someone starting. This will be someone that we can add to the, it was right after COVID, and we needed something to make retail awards a bit more sexy as well, and getting kind of some action to it. And so yeah, so it was really, not even thinking about, oh, let's do something further. I was really looking from a business point of view. And then after, I don't know, a couple of, and then I said, oh, be on the Coffee with Craig show. We'll talk a little bit about the event, and then, and then just kind of picked up from there. I think I got to know her better. She got to know us better and me better. And then it kind of grew that way. So it wasn't like, oh, I saw someone on a beauty contest and win, and I'm gonna,
So maybe that answered my question.
Yeah, maybe this is the way. I don't know if it'll work for everybody, but it seemed to
like, hey, build a publishing company, hire that man,
spend 30 years and then do it
in some foreign country, and then you remember.
Well, that's the long way.
Correct. So what's something in the field of your work that we haven't spoke about and you think it's important?
I would say there's a few things. Yeah, there's like I said, kind of at the beginning, just this typical, we want to kind of recognize all these projects and things happening, because I think the average people just don't realize the work that goes into building a shopping center and how it actually improves their lives. But, on probably the side that people don't notice is really how much, I don't want to say we're helping, but how much some of these charities also get from these events, because we always, we generally always have a charity partner, and, some of the money goes to them or something goes to them. And, so, I mean, we've had a few where, some of our clients have just helped them a huge amount. They were charity partners with us. Some of them are, feeding the homeless, and, some of this, and I don't want to make it sound like a big charity event, because it's not. We're there to make money, but we're also there to, we also want to help these people. So I think, we, in every event, every year, we have different charities, and, some of them I think work better than others for raising money. But I know a lot of our clients really have money, and some of them have some of the construction companies, the developers have went and actually built them new facilities, and donated money, or donated, materials, or even got their whole team in together. Some of these, they needed to build a house for certain, some sick people, and they were able, they actually, and the developers actually, they said, well, we're not going to give you any money, probably because they didn't trust any of these things, but they're like, but we'll come and we'll help you build it. And I think they paid for almost everything. So a lot of these charities that we put in, I would say, this is probably what's really helping in the end, right? They don't care if there's a new shopping center. They need a new hospital built, or, one of these orphanages, or, right after some of the events we had, I think it was the Norwegian Council who was one of our sponsors, and they were rebuilding houses in Ukraine. So I think it was more just repairing roofs, but still, if you have a big hole in your roof, there's thousands of roofs that need to be repaired. And they're like, can we be a charity partner of this? And I think, a few of our developers were like, or some of the material providers said, look, we can send you the materials. And, that was one of the issues. I mean, a lot of these Ukrainians can build their own roofs if they've got the stuff there, or have someone to do it locally. So I would say one thing that probably doesn't get mentioned, and I wouldn't have mentioned it if you didn't bring it up, is really we always pick like one or two charity partners. And I would say they're benefiting from these guys, because the real estate people also want to help. Generally they have their own charities. We're doing stuff. We're also doing more and more with like kind of saving the bees, and giving like real organic honey, and you'll see a video of that. We're getting ready to make a new one. Because again, it's another thing where, again, I'm not doing so much on like save the planet or save the world, but you look at what happens if there's no bees. And one of the bee guys said, there's only enough honey, or there's only enough bees in the world to make about half the honey that actually exists, that people are buying. So 50% is fake honey, right? So, we're kind of trying to provide this, so you go into the store, you buy the same honey that tastes the same and looks the same, every time you buy in it for the same 10 years,
Just sugar, yeah.
it may not really be from bees, or they're feeding the bees just sugar,
Right.
instead of letting them go out and get flowers and stuff like that. So we're doing a little bit with just ourselves, with kind of promoting this, this one thing. And if you look at the planet without bees, there's still food to eat, but not necessarily that good,
Healthy, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, more grains, and they're just not. So we're doing a little bit there. So a little.
Well, that's wonderful. I truly enjoyed this conversation, Greg.
Yeah, it's great
Thank
to
you
have
for
great
coming
to
to
be
the
here.
show.
Mhm.
Any last parting words?
Well, I think I hope someone got something out of it. I'd say, if anything, join a fitness club and get a trainer, even if you only go once a week.
Yeah.
Better to do it, but don't say you don't have time, because believe me, I don't have time, and I still go. No, Kamal, great to see you, and always nice to be here at the studio. And good luck with
Thank you so
Warsaw
much.
Confidential.
I'll see you at the event. It's been a while. I haven't been there, so
Yeah, next one, October 30th in Warsaw. So
Perfect.
at the Intercontinental.
with my birthday.
Yeah, great. Oh, great. Yeah.